Hello everyone, welcome to Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Himbar, and today I'm doing my weekly update. This is for the 10th of February 2024. This is Liam's Leapings number 75. I'm going to try to make this short. I don't feel like I have much to say. On Sunday I had a good session of D&D, session 1 for a kind of sandbox in Eastern Cormier, and set in 1370, so it's late, very late, second edition, but we're playing fifth edition just because we're more used to that one. I do like second edition. In fact, I probably like it more than fifth edition. But anyways, so I think I read a little bit of Don Quixote this week. It's probably not even worth mentioning, but then I also read a little bit of the Book of Three with my daughters. The books I finished this week are thus. I think I finished One Corpse Too Many first by Ellis Peters. I really dug it. I ordered book 3, Monk's Hood, after finishing this. It's very short. I don't know, it's just kind of cozy, right? Like 12th century England monk, right? I mean, there's stuff going on, bad stuff, and there's danger, and obviously there are murder mysteries, but still, it's a nice whodunit. I enjoyed it a lot. I think the book I finished after that was Beyond the High Road by Troy Denning. I've read a lot of Denning over the years, mostly for his IP fiction, what I'd call IP or franchise fiction. This is book 2 in the Cormyr saga. He did not write book 1. I did not enjoy this one as much as book 1. I think Denning has less skill as an author, but he's not bad. And generally like him, but he's kind of in the middle, right? I like him, but he's not great by any means. Tana Lastra is the main character in this book, and though not Kelvin, sorry, wow, I'm reading another Forgotten book, or Kelvin isn't it? Vandragata Haas is the main character in book 1, so Tana Lastra she gets a lot more character development. You can see hints of it at the end of book 1, but it's cool. Let's see her get some character development, but I don't really like her that much, and that might be one of the reasons I don't like this book as much. You do get also a bunch of setup, right? So book 1 works really well on its own. Book 2 needs book 3. Right, I haven't read book 3 yet. Hopefully I'll get to that soon. But yeah, it's about Cormyr starting war and then Thanalasta working on producing an heir, because she seems to not want to be queen, right? Because the line will allow queens, right? If there's no sons, and there are no sons, right? She's got no brothers, but she doesn't seem to want to be queen. She probably shouldn't be, but she's going to produce an heir instead. So she's kind of working on that in this novel, while the kingdom is starting war, basically. Then I finished Prince of Dogs by Kate Ailey. I think I read the whole thing. Sorry, my baby is in the background, which is kind of one of the reasons I want to make it short, because I need to go hold him. But my wife has him now. This is book 2 in Crown of Stars. I read book 1 and finished it on the 31st of January, and I was like, this is the February one. I might go ahead for March, and before March, and read, I think The Burning Stone is book 3. I have book 3. I don't have any of the other ones. I only have up to book 3. But I really enjoyed this one. A lot of action. I really like the tone of it. I think Eliot nails this cool tone, right? It's not grim dark, but it's very gray and drab, but also very full of life and light at the same time. It's very interesting take on a medieval-esque fantasy. And then the last book I finished was The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro. I'm reading this one with T from An Erudite Adventure. I enjoyed this. Not a favorite. I've been liking the Arthurian stuff I've been reading, and of that, this might be my least favorite, actually, but it does have some cool things in it. I think the thing it does well is focus or look at a theme, and that theme is guilt, basically, and forgetfulness, to combat that guilt, which I think is interesting because it doesn't look at forgiveness at all, which is interesting. I think maybe it'd be a lot more impactful if it did. It doesn't really. So, anyways, but it is kind of Arthurian post Britain. Gawain isn't it? I can mention that, I feel like, or Gawain, if you want to say it that way. But the books I didn't read any more of the Barbed Coil because I was focusing on this buddy read, and I have another buddy read coming up now. I don't but I haven't started that yet. So um, the other books I did read, I started was Another Fine Myth by Robert Aspirin. My buddy Jerry got me this book. All of them, actually. I've been meaning to read this one for a while. I'm very not far into it at all. Like, let's see. I'm like 30 pages in. So not much to say yet, but it's kind of comic fantasy or humorist fantasy. Came out in 1978, so it's older than Discworld, though it's very straight to the point. It's just trying to be funny with an action story rather than being a parody so much or deep, right, with its jokes, like social commentary on the underneath or whatever. I'm enjoying it so far. Yeah, we'll see what I think when I finish it. And then another book also really enjoying. I'm very close to finishing it. I started this week as Elf Shadow. This is book one in the Songs and Swords, which I think is a pentology, if I'm remembering correctly. There was supposed to be a sixth book, but that got canceled. So I wonder how it works as a pentology. I imagine they work rather well as standalones because it's kind of an open-ended series. It's technically book two in the Harpers as well, which is just a series about Harpers, right? They're not like really connected. Like book one is by Troy Denning and has nothing to do with book two, right? Um, but book one does connect with book 12, which is the Veiled Dragon, right? So there's a sequel to book one, that's book 12 in the Harpers. There's a sequel to Elf Shadow. It's called Elf Song, and it's also in the Harpers. So the first four of the Songs and Swords books are also Harper books. The last one is the only one that's not also a Harper book because the Harper series spans 16. I think it ends with Thornhold, Darkhold. I don't remember actually what it is. I have it on a shelf over there. It's by Elaine Cunningham. It's in this series as well, Song of the Swords. But then there's the Dream Spheres, I think, is the final book in Song of Swords. So, anyways, I have been meaning to read Elaine Cunningham for a long time. I read one book by her in 2019, maybe. It's been a minute, 2020, maybe. Before I started my channel, and it was an EverQuest novel, The Blood Red Harp, and I liked it some. You get to see like Crushbone and Kellathan. That's cool if you're an EverQuest fan. But then I read another EverQuest novel, not by her, that's Scott Siensen. And I really like Scott Siensen's couple Forgotten Realms novels I read by him. But I didn't really like his EverQuest novel nearly as much. And maybe it's just the sense of wonder I get from the world. Maybe EverQuest is just something I need to play rather than read. Or maybe those novels are just subpar compared to the Forgotten Realms novels. Because I'm enjoying this a lot more than Cunningham's one EverQuest novel. Elf Shadow, though it has kind of a cheesy cover, is very entertaining. It really brings the Forgotten Realms to life. And I mean, it's a good reminder as to why I really love the Forgotten Realms, right? I feel like authors like R.A. Salvatore fail in this. R.A. Salvatore he just kind of, the Forgotten Realms is kind of there in the background, but it's kind of just a place for him to have his cartoony adventures with his cartoon characters, but it doesn't feel like Forgotten Realms. Like when I read R.A. Salvatore, it feels like bad fan fiction. And I don't want to hate on an author, but it really does. Like, as someone who's a big fan of Forgotten Realms, I read R.A. Salvatore and it does not feel like the same place. Everyone has their own interpretation, right? Each author, that Forgotten Realms feels a little different, but Driss doesn't even feel like Forgotten Realms. So it's really frustrating for me to read that. I think that's one of the big reasons, besides the fact that they're just not great stories, in my opinion. I think one of the big reasons I was initially kind of turned off is because I don't feel like he does justice to the Forgotten Realms, and I'm a big Forgotten Realms fan. But Elf Shadow is really good. I'm enjoying it. Also has Elf Assassins, which I guess some people like, right? So no, it's cool. I really like this one. You get lots of realm stuff in it. Lots. I'm really enjoying it. I'll probably finish this one here soon. So I got like 60 pages left or so. But yeah, I'm kind of in a Forgotten Realms mood, if that wasn't obvious. So I have a couple other Forgotten Realms books over here I'm wanting to read. Stormlight came out before the Stormlight Archive Masquerades because it's about Alias. I'm a big fan of Alias. Unbroken Chain. Jaylee Johnson, she's coming out with the newest Forgotten Realms novel in March. So she's like the only one still writing in it. This is a duology. Unbroken Chain is a 4th edition book, but still, I look forward to it. These are kind of hard to come by, the sequel and this one. So, and I did get one book this week before I forget. I got one book. It is The Dregs of Empire and Other Stories by Christopher Rocchio. It's actually free technically for me, right? So it matches my set. I have the first two, right? Signed and numbered. 467 is my number. Um, I proofread this, and for my payments, because I didn't get paid for it by Anderida, I get compensated by not having to pay for this, which is nice because I already had the first two, and it's kind of an expensive book. So I proofread it. Basically got to read it early. I'd read all the short stories, but got to read Dragons of Empire, which is how I got my review out early for it actually, because I was proofreading it, and so I finally got my compensation, which is nice. Christopher just told me today actually about a short story he's writing, which sounds cool. I won't say what it's called because I don't know if he shared, but I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, what have y'all been reading this week? Hope you're having a good week. Yeah, keep it up, or keep going if it doesn't feel like it's up at all.